Coverage of the scandal that you've been hearing about all weekend. This is the one rocking the Ohio State marching band.
It's been 4 days since band director Jon Waters was fired after an investigation concluded he knew about a culture of sexual harassment in the band.
His attorney, David Axelrod, is with us this morning to answer some more questions about what continues to be an ongoing, developing story. Good morning, David. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
So let's start with, what did he know and when did he know it? That's always the classic question these days. Is the band in the middle of a sexual harassment problem, or is somebody blowing this out of proportion?
Well, you know, I can't put myself in his mind. I don't know exactly what he knew or when he knew it. Jonathan experienced inappropriate behavior, though, when he was a rookie band member, and that deeply affected him. So when he finally got into a position of authority as the band director, he did everything he possibly could have to change the culture and move it in the right direction. As to whether it's in the middle of a crisis, you know, it's hard to say, because the report prepared by Ohio State is deeply flawed, and I think, frankly, it was amateurishly done. In 60 days, Ohio State managed to interview exactly 10 witnesses. Out of 225 band members, they managed to interview exactly 4. Of the 4, 1 was the person who made the complaint. 3 were referred to the investigators by the person who made the complaint. Out of the thousands of local alumni, they managed to interview exactly 5. So the report is hardly complete, and in fact, you know, Ohio State has talked about a task force chaired by former Attorney General Betty Montgomery to take a larger look at things. The fact that they need to do that is an admission that what they've done is inadequate. But they acted and they fired Jonathan based on the report that they have implicitly acknowledged was incomplete.
Did he know this report was underway?
Well, he was interviewed twice. He knew there had been a complaint made against him. Interestingly, he was interviewed without the benefit of counsel. Now, that happened because Ohio State, the investigators, violated their own policy, which was to give him a written policy that told him he had the right to have a lawyer present. So, not having been advised of his right to have counsel there, he was interviewed without that benefit.
What has the university said to you about taking the action to fire him before an investigation was actually completed? Because they're about to do a full investigation now with former Attorney General Betty Montgomery. How do you fire somebody before the investigation is done?
Well, they said that the investigation was done. They haven't put into words that it wasn't done, but they have shown by their actions that it wasn't completed.
Now, had he brought up to any of the administrators that he was concerned about particular behaviors in the band? Were there some acts or some alleged acts that were taking place that he was concerned about?
Well, you know, obviously he was concerned about certain things because he stopped them. For instance, he stopped Midnight Ramp. But, you know, the idea that Jonathan had to come forward and talk about the culture of the band at the university is just silly. These things were part of an entrenched culture that went on for decades and decades. They were there for decades before Jonathan became the director. They were there for decades before he was a band member. So the idea that Ohio State University did not know about these things is just silly.
Is this something that's going on in other universities as well? Are they making an example of Jon Waters and the Ohio State Band, or is this a singular problem here?
Well, you know, I would use the word scapegoat rather than example. But sure, this has happened elsewhere. It happened at the University of Wisconsin, and rather than simply fire the head of the band, they treated the band sort of as they would a fraternity, and they suspended the entire band. So this is not a problem unique to Ohio State. I think it's not nearly the problem that it's been portrayed to be.
Well, what is the goal then? Do you want him to return to his job, or do you want this to just be legal, finished, and he is allowed from that point forward just to have some kind of vindication?
Well, you know, he was fired just last week. This was the job of a lifetime for him. This had been his dream. So he's understandably distraught. He's upset. He's spending private time with his family, trying to figure out what he wants and what the next steps are.
Okay.
Can the university even hire him back at this point? I mean, they'll lose a lot of face if they do. So does it become a political issue to even be able to hire him back?
Well, you know, I'm not a politician, and that's hard for me to comment on. As a legal matter, of course they could hire him back. I don't know what's in their mind and whether that's possible. And again, I don't know whether that's really what Jonathan wants or not, because as I said, he's distraught and he's not in a position really to make long-term decisions right now.
So do you plan a lawsuit then moving forward?
You know, I don't know whether we plan a lawsuit. I certainly don't exclude the possibility, but I'm not telling you that we will do that either. The only thing that I'm sure of is that one way or another, Jonathan is going to fight to restore his good name.
All right. David, we appreciate your time this morning.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Certainly this is not over. We do need to tell you that we did reach out to the Ohio State University for a response, and in part, they said the university has a responsibility to ensure that every student has a safe, secure, and positive experience built on its core values of integrity and personal accountability. To this end, the university has asked former Ohio Attorney General Betty Montgomery to lead a task force which will review the band culture and the administrative process aspects of this matter. That's all they've said.
It will continue.
It will.
No doubt. Stay with Fox 28 for continuing coverage, too, as we hear from both sides of the discussion and the university moving forward. We will have the latest on air, online, and on Facebook and Twitter.